mentioned earlier on when we were talking that you also did some matches for WCW, which I'm going to guess is before you were signed by WWE.
Oh yeah, a long time. Yeah, because I started out when the territories were still in existence. So I went around and was working, and then they started fading out, and then that meant, and then Sheik had his stranglehold over Ohio and Michigan, parts of West Virginia and Eastern Kentucky and Virginia, Western Pennsylvania, all of his territory in Michigan was wide open, and everybody wanted that territory. So, Ole knew of the territory and wanted to come up and start running it, and TBS, Turner Broadcasting was running Georgia Championship Wrestling, WCW, and so they started running tours going up into Ohio and Michigan and the old Sheik's territory. And whenever they would come up, the Murniks would run the towns for them, and the Murniks needed, a couple local guys or whatever, and I would get booked working on those at that time. Eric Bishoff contacted me, which was a whole weird thing. And I love Eric. Eric and I worked in TNA together, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. From my standpoint, it was such a weird thing because I'll never forget it. I was contacted when I was in Smoky Mountain, and Eric Bischoff, Jeremy Borash is the one who first contacts me, and I'd never met Jeremy or anything like that, and they arranged this a dark match that they want me to come down and work. I'm like, okay, so I fly in to Atlanta. Scott D'Amore was down there at the time, which was good because I could, he was, bringing guys over to center stage so they could do, enhancement talent. So I fly in, and Sandy Scott, who had worked for the Crockett's and stuff for years, tells me there's a train that you can take that'll take you to the CNN Center or wherever it was, and that was the hotel they were putting me up at. I fly in, come in, check in the hotel, wait for a couple hours, never hear from anybody. I finally called Janie Angle, who was who had set things up for me, was the assistant there at WCW. She's like, oh yeah, you need to be at center stage tomorrow. What time? I wouldn't have known. Nobody contacted me, nobody told me. So I call, D'Amore, get a ride with him over to center stage, because I don't know how to get in the building, no nothing. Get there at 1 o'clock, literally sit there for hours. Nobody talks to me. Nobody says a word to me. Couple, some of the boys say hi, I say hi to them. And I come from, the school of, you're in a new locker room, you go find a corner, you sit down, you shut up, stay out of the way, Don't go around trying to be a locker room lawyer and teaching everybody everything or talking to everybody. Shake hands, be respectful, and then sit. I wait until, Terry Taylor comes in, talks to me. Again, I love Terry. Briefly, and they're all busy. And I'm friendly, talk to everybody. And then Pinzer comes in and tells me I need to sign a release. Or he doesn't even say release, he goes, sign this, just shoves it in my face. I go, well, what is it? Well, you need to sign this if you want to wrestle. Well, can I look at it? So he goes, what? Like he gets offended, and I read it over and I sign it and I give it to him, and he pisses off. He gets, walks off. Oh, Kevin Sullivan came in too and was like, what's the problem? What's the issue? I'm like, there's no issue. I just wanted to read what you have me sign. That's all. Penzer went and made it like it was a big deal, like I had caused this big stink. I just was like, can I read it? So sign that, get that done. I got to work with this kid. I can't remember his name. Who literally sprayed Pam cooking spray on himself before he went out. I'll never forget that. So go out and have the match. I didn't do myself, probably
I've actually
anything.
heard of people doing that in amateur wrestling.
Yeah, oh, they do. The Muay Thai guy put oil all over himself to make harder for Dan to grab a hold of him in UFC. And so, I don't know, it was, if I'd have watched it today, I wouldn't book me. Fuck. So he had the match, come backstage. Nobody still talks to me, right? Finally, Eric Bischoff calls me in his office. I go, hey, thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. I just want you to let know, because Jim Ross had contacted me right before I went down there. I said, I just want you to let know that they've asked me to come to Stanford next week. And he goes, oh, you owe it to yourself and your family. You need to go and hear what they have to say. I have to go do my pay-per-view, and when I get back, we'll give you a call. I'll go, okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was it. There was no discussion of money, no discussion of anything, that was the whole conversation. And I thanked him for, his time, and we were done. So I'd spent that whole day. And then the next day, I find my way back to the airport, fly home. So I don't hear anything from WCW until all of a sudden I get wind that, Jeremy Borash for some reason calls me and says that I went in and made demands for like a couple $100,000, or I wasn't going to work or something like that, to Eric Bishoff. And I go, I never asked for any money. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. And this whole convoluted thing came about, and my behavior in the locker room and all these things that were just absurd, that never occurred, that were born out of partly because I asked to read the release before I signed it, and then Pinzer spun it into something that was far worse than what it actually was. And then I don't know where that conversation with Eric Bischoff came from, and I waited for 2, maybe 3 weeks to hear from them, to get out of, because I told Eric I would. And I stayed true to my word.